All right, man. We are live, man. UKQP Unfiltered Kings and the Queen podcast. Where we trying to talk to each other, not at each other, man. We still on our summer hiatus, right? We got season 4 coming up. So we just coming back to y'all, man, just engaging with you guys, making sure we keep touching bases with you all. Don't lose y'all in the sauce, man. Checking in, seeing what you got going on, what it is we got going on, and more important, what it is that we got coming up. So before we kind of jump off into it, man, I want to kind of check in with the team, right? See how everybody's day is going. You know, as we always say, Frank and I, we don't really have a life. So we're really asking Diana, you know, I think we're just going to have to change this section to where, Diana, how you doing? Right? Is that does that sound good, Frankie? Diana, how you doing? That's pretty much going to be we're starting off, right? With us, it's just go to work. Yeah, okay. Diana usually have some. Diana can take a regular walk to the coffee shop and it's just going to be damn interesting. So yeah, I put you on Front Street in front of everybody. So Dana, how's your day? No pressure.
Oh, my day was great.
Of course we know.
Huh?
Of course.
Okay. So yeah, my day was great. My daughter actually competed for regionals for track and field. It's a two-day qualifier for the Junior Olympics. And today she ran the 200 meter and she qualified. So I was super excited to hear about that. And then we have tomorrow too, right? We have the 100, the 400, and a 4x1 relay tomorrow to see if we also will qualify in those three.
Okay.
I'm super excited about that. It's gonna be a long weekend. So yeah, that was the highlight of my day.
Now I want y'all to think about this. You can't come after that. She doing well, niece doing well, niece qualifying. Like there's nothing about our day that can come back and be like, but I did this. Like, good day, you know what I mean? Like, okay, salute. So Frankie, you went to work, had a day. Okay, that's good.
That's it.
I had a day, went to work. That's good, you know. But no, seriously, man, I know it's probably hard to go after that. But if something did happen in your day, man, I at least want to give the formality. See how you doing, man. You know, I know it's tough act to follow, but how's your day going? Or how'd your day go? We know it's not good as Diana's, but Jesus Christ, he proved me right.
That's it. Work. That's
okay.
all I've been doing.
Okay.
Everybody,
man, hey, some days
everybody rescheduling. So everybody want to come at the end of the month, so they get in the month, so they won't get fed to report. So
gotcha. Man, look, before we get started, as always, make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe, man. We're out there in Spotify world. So if you're in the podcasting world, go and jump out there at Spotify. Follow us, man. It allows us to do great things, to continue to do great things. Follow us on Facebook. We do have our own group, Unfiltered Kings and the Queen podcast. We also have our YouTube page. Everything we've done since day one, A1, man, is there. And so we have season 1 through 3, of course, season 4 coming up. So please share us on Spotify, on YouTube, and then share it with a friend. And then tell your friend to share it with a friend. But we out there, man. Social media, all that other stuff, and all that other jazz. Y'all know I'm still pissed off that I don't have access to my personal TikTok. And it's harder for me to prove I am who I am. Like it literally happened before my eyes. All this AI stuff, it was kind of spooky. Like, you know, and I'm not saying to come down into her, but I was watching one of her videos and I'm just noticing my stuff was just changed. It was kind of like freaky. And I'm just like, wait a minute. So I closed out and opened up and it was changed. I go in, change it back, and then it just went away. And so now I've been talking to robots to try it. I'm just like, maybe it's just gone. It ain't that damn serious. But yeah, it was like right before my eyes. I'm like, now I got to go to the podcast page to see Diana. So I'm like, it's not the same, you know. I don't know. So if I've been missing on TikTok, there you go. But But no, serious on the serious. No, and for real, get by Diana's TikTok page, man. Like for real, it's some great stuff on there that kind of leaves the podcast world from what we're talking about as a topic and kind of give you another perspective. So if you haven't followed that, like you're missing out on a treat. But man, look, as you can see the title, man, I think my nephew is on here, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check and see. Michael, if you are on here, shoot a comment or whatnot. I always like to shout people out, man, especially the first timers for supporting us. And so I know he said he'll be on, so hopefully he'll chime in. But look, man, tonight I want to talk to you all seriously about an experience I had last night. Of course, for those who do not know, May was mental health awareness month, but June is reserved for the men's mental health awareness month. And so, by all means, I can't take credit for our somewhat topic of the night that Diana came up with. It said it is King's Breakthrough, Men's Mental Health Unfiltered. And that's something I really wanted my nephew to kind of chime in. Shouts out to my nephew, Michael. Hopefully he'll chime in where he's comfortable at. But we just had a powerful conversation. But I wanted to kind of pick it up last night with this event that I came to. It was a cigar and men's conversation. So pretty much it was a safe space at a cigar lounge where men just kind of talk and chop it up, right? And it was an interesting dynamic because I didn't know who I was going to know there. Like I ended up knowing about a couple of people, but for the most part, it was only 2 women there in a room full of men, right? The women didn't chime in or get in the conversation, whatever. Like one was the hostess because she had a De La Sham. Shouts out to her out there, man. She's doing great work in the domestic violence area, but she lended her platform to create a space for men for this month, right? And so with only 2 women being there, man, of course you had the guys, Frankie, that was hard, right? That was, no, I ain't going to say anything and things of that sort. But then to see men just open up and talk real about their issues amongst strangers, I was saying earlier, that's something we don't do. But I think the power that I saw is that because the women's presence was there and they genuinely was connecting and listening and not lending, it made the men feel like, okay, I can talk to you without the judgment that sometimes come with it. And so, man, I say all that to say, man, you had men that was coming from Virgil from Manchester, England. Man, look at UKQP going play. I don't know if that's good, but let me pause on that. But Virgil, nice to have you. You know, hopefully that's a real person, not AI. But if you are real, then hey, shouts out to Manchester. But I think the dynamic on a serious note was that usually in front of me and Frankie, we're stoic, right? You know, we don't want to break, we hard, we tough and whatnot. But man, here you are in a room full of strangers, and you got men in there not even knowing what they were holding on to, right? This one guy was dealing with a nasty divorce. You know, she's holding the kids from it and whatnot. And he said something that was interesting. This is why I want to kind of get you guys feedback on, right? I know I'm setting it up. But we was talking about how do we even deal with our emotions. And so he said, he's a DJ. He said, man, I love music. So I've been listening to music and that's what's helping me to deal with it and whatnot. Yeah. And I had to help him understand that the music was just coping with it because he was wondering why things weren't getting better. And I had to help him to understand the difference between coping and actually dealing. The music was just helping you deal with the emotions of it. But if you don't actually go to counsel or do something for the action, the music won't help that, right? And so I think in that space, even for him to realize that a lot of time as men, we'll find something to lose those emotions to, but we still not dealing with the emotions. So I'll kind of pause right there and see if you guys had any feedback on that. Michael, I see that you here. I see some other people that came in and joined in. So thank you for joining in. We're talking about King's Breakthrough, Men's Mental Health Unfiltered. So, but why have you, first of all, Diana, have you noticed, how can I say this? Have you ever been in a situation where you notice where men think they're dealing with it, but they're really coping with it? They're really masking it. That's a better word, right? Like they're covering up instead of actually dealing with the actual real thing. Have you ever experienced that or had an interaction with that?
So you're asking me if I've ever seen somebody mask or cope with mental health as a man.
Just an issue in general where men, we think we always have to have the Virgin say, I'm a real person. It's me on Facebook. Shouts out to Virgin, man, all the way in Manchester, England, man. Hey, I just had to make sure, you know what I'm saying? Oh, and he sent the profile. Virgin, you can't be getting no shouts out now. But no, okay, so he real. Okay, respect. But no, what I was saying is like, men, we always have to have it together and have the solutions. But have you as a woman from a far witness where like you're not dealing with that, you just kind of coping with the emotions that come with it. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where they think they're handling the issue or addressing the topic, you're really masking and just coping it with whatever it is that you like doing.
Yeah, I mean, so before I answer that, I know you said that men always have to have the answer or they have to always, provide a solution. But do they really? Or is that just something ingrained in men that they feel that is what they shall do? Like, I guess I'm trying to understand, like, where does that come from to where that men feel like they need to, provide a solution or solve the problem as if, that's just their whole sense of being.
Let me put my gloves on. I think I would challenge. Hold on, right quick. Don't worry about it. No, but you know what? Seriously, that's an excellent question because there's nuance there, right?
Yeah.
That's one of these things where just wanted to prove I'm not a troll. I really we know you're real, baby. Brother say I'm in this thing. You remember
Brother said you're not gonna be playing with me.
Yeah, he said don't play me. Put some respect on my name.
No, for real.
That's right.
No, for real. No, my apologies. Like,
Virgin, appreciate that for real.
No apologies, man. I'm glad you had a sense of humor with it too, man. We need to laugh a little bit more. But now, shouts out to you, Virgin. Appreciate it. So I think there is nuance to that topic, right? And I think that's where men and women start talking to each other or at each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because on one end, there is just this perception that becomes reality to men. And I think Frank and most men would agree that in general, in our capacities and roles we wear, we are supposed to have the solution. Prime example, when it comes to safety, we supposed to protect. And that's nuance, right? Because if you see the person before me, you mean just because you're not a man, you're not supposed to protect me? Nuance, right? But then I do think some of it, to your point, is self-imposed because we erroneously equate it as that's being a man, right?
Right.
We talked about that last night where we will put ourselves in a bad health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, and I won't use his name, but this older guy stood up and he said this, although I understood what he said, but I humbly believe he was wrong. If a man got to get 2 and 3 jobs, he's supposed to provide at what cost? See, that sounds unpopular, but at what cost? Because if those 3 jobs is rushing you in the early grave, then maybe we need to downsize and reevaluate. Do we really? We don't have those real conversations. We just assign it to the gender. And so that's the pressure, in all honesty, down that's put on me. Oh, we got to provide. Wait a minute. And I gave the example to the audience. If I put 2 big chairs on my back and I say, Dana, look, I can tote these big chairs. What's the reward from that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hurting myself just because I can do it. Well, Jane, can you roll one chair? It's a better way. That's what I'm saying. But to your point, we are so quick to just say, because that we've been taught that's being a man. And if you don't do it, Frankie, you're not a man. Oh, you ain't a man, you weak. Yeah, that plays a real role on a male's ego, right?
Yeah.
So it's nuance, and I'm glad you put that on the table because I think we often just rush to one side based on the gender. But no, there's some nuance in there. Some that we can own, and some, it is self-imposed on the opposite gender.
Yeah, so thank you for that, for answering that question. I didn't really mean to have you answer it right away. I was just saying, like, because it was when you said it, I was like, oh shoot, I need to like nail that down, and figure that out. But the other part of that too is like when you said the guy said that men need to have 3-4 jobs or whatever the case is. It's also that notion, if they want to, they will, right? But a lot of times is what choice do they really have?
Yeah.
So but yeah, I've seen I've been around, I've had associates or friends that were men, that masked their scenarios with, like drinking, right? Because that's a coping mechanism that a lot of people use to kind of mask whatever they were dealing with, or when they're having a moment with a person, it bubbles over because they brushed off so much in the scenario that they can't even comprehend or begin to understand what they're actually doing to themselves in that dynamic. Like, it's almost a point to where that it's almost like a back and forth or argumentative notion, to where that neither party is being heard, and because the man doesn't want to I guess rattle the fence, they just kind of brush and just be quiet, for however long period of time, until one day they essentially explode, which we all know that doesn't always end well, you know what I'm saying? But that's what most men do, because you're taught to, I guess, deal with it in a sense, to where that you have to make sure that no matter what, you just continue to go, like there's no way that you couldn't express yourself, for fear of, whatever it is most men fear when it comes to being expressive, or being labeled, or being judged based off of expressing, essentially how they feel to just anybody in general. I think you even said something along the lines of like, if the women weren't in the room, then would the men have actually expressed, how they really felt, if it was just the men in the room? And even in that is scary in itself, because why is that a thing? You should be able to speak, regardless of who is in the room, right? I mean, you should be, but it doesn't always, go that way. But where is your safe space then, if not there?
Yeah. And boy, you led up to a perfect place that I wanted to kind of go, because I think a lot of times, and I always talk about nuances in this, like there is a right way just from a practical standpoint, but the reality of it is we're not perfect, right? Like usually we have already been flawed, so we can't perfectly fit in there. And I think that's the conversation we don't have. And I think that's the power that we lose sometimes between men and women. Like because think about it, we never find ourselves not arguing and finding one not at each other and disqualifying that. But if your presence, Diana, will allow me to show up in a space to hear myself, to hear you, then good, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but it goes back to what the point I'm making is that I think we have to approach it from a subconscious level. This is one of the few things, men, that we have to learn what it isn't first before we can appreciate what it is. Right? If I have this cup already filled up with poisonous drink, but I can't see the poison, right? There's no more room for anything good. Frankie can't come over and say, no, James, that's poison. Let me pour the good in there. That wouldn't make sense. I got to get all this out. And I think that's what happened with us. Like when our counterpart women's trying to come in and pour into us, they don't see I'm full. That kind of on edge that Dana was referring to. You don't understand this job, these bills, whatever it is, and they genuinely want, no, let me put this good stuff in you. It don't work. Right? You're just mixing more, some good with the bad is going to become diluted. So how do we step back? And men, to Diana's point, this is what we got to own. See, we owning the wrong stuff. We owning bills, material things. That's material stuff. I ain't never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. Own this. Sometimes we obligate ourselves to dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional jobs, dysfunctional homeboys, dysfunctional friends, family. Me and my nephew were just talking about this. Well, own that. It's like, you can let that go. Now it comes with pros and cons, but you don't have to allow anybody to mentally abuse you.
Right.
Like, now again, that's not being sensitive. People trapped and kidnapped and stuff. We're not talking about that, Crystal, shouts out to Crystal answers. Oh, that's good. I've seen men compartmentalize their emotions. Yeah. And you have to understand, it's like the question that Diana posed. There is nuance, but if we're just coming from that gender, right? I've never been a woman before in my life. Diana never been a male. So that's not going to help. And that's what we talk about on this podcast. Let's have the conversation. I may still disagree with it, but I now know how that woman thinks, right? Diana might disagree with Frank, but I know what Frankie thinks, right? But more important, we may find that, wait, there's some nuance, Frankie. Wait, there's some nuance down. And I think we don't even get to explore that because society puts men in a real tough space to where we can never turn off. And what I do think, Dana, I do think we have to have space in this Men's Mental Health Month to say that.
Right.
Like, we need that space to be off, to be wrong, to recognize when we're wrong, because that is a human thing. And I think a lot of times that is synonymous to a man, right? And I think we talked about it on a show, I think. Single parent mother. She's celebrated and should be. We got one on, a couple of them on here, right? But do we honestly give single parent males that same attention, right? So to me, those are the healthy conversations that we as men, we still got to go out into that society, no matter what, to your point, Dan, and we still got to show up.
Mm-hmm.
See, we can't say since we're not celebrated, since we're not tolerated, since we're not listened to, matter of fact, since we're looked up at as weak, we still got to go show up. Right, Frank? Right. Even if I'm a pure weak, watch this. Even if I'm a pure weak, I still got to be strong. The irony in that, right? And you guys, thank you for your comment. Please keep your comments coming. Crystal, let me go back. I don't think I read. Crystal said, that's good. I've seen men compartmentalize their emotions. Crystal, feel free to share those experiences. Virgil said, my girl, oh my goodness, my girl took her life last year, Diana. She's a senior nurse. The weird thing is she doesn't come back to me, not even in dream. Oh my goodness. My condolences, Virgil.
Yeah, my condolences.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Man, look, that hit me in my chest. Okay. Yeah. But you know what, Forever, I commend you for sharing your truth. That's powerful. So that's powerful right there. This man is in front of millions of people as a man and have to share his real emotions. And we don't get to talk about that topic, right? We don't get to talk about suicide. It's this taboo thing. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at some statistics. I put it on my LinkedIn and I was trying to find it for tonight, but it was saying 74% of men who struggle with their emotions end up in suicide. I don't think we understand. I think it was 2024. 74% of men, when they finally acknowledge that they were dealing with their emotions, ended in suicide. Like that is in the United States. Like that's crazy work when it comes to numbers. Like, and like Don alluded to, them ain't even the ones who didn't realize they were dealing with their emotions. So we don't even have 74%. That's just in the U.S. alone. And so, Frank, we got to turn down this what a man is. Right? We got to start talking about what a man isn't. Right? I don't have all the answers. I'm not on all the time, right? Because some of this stuff we've been taught since like we know our name. And that's by the time when we try to have the conversation that Dana was alluding to, that's why it's so hard for women, our counterparts. It's not all quickly our anger. It's not all quickly we're a bad person. It's like we've learned something like our name. Could you imagine? Hey, Frankie, your name not Frankie, your name John.
Yeah.
That's a shock. When you're talking about that shock and that it's not that some of us is mad at your words. It's that initial shock. And it is a beautiful space. And by all means, we're not saying it's easy, female counterparts, but we need that space to deal with that initial shock. Right? If mama been telling me cry, don't cry, suck it up, and all of a sudden down and you come and try to get me to deal with my emotions, that's a shock. The most important woman in my life has taught me like she's taught my name. Suck it up, be tough, quit being a man, quit being weak. And here come you, although you're right, that's an initial shock. But we take it, like we said a while ago, that's an argument, and you're not like me, that's a red flag. And we use that term so loose, I won't even go there. But that's not a red flag. That just means I'm showing you my imperfections. Go ahead, Frank.
I tell my people this all the time. I say, you're going to have to take your cape off sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? And for my man, I always say, bro, you ain't always going to be Superman. Clark Kent got to come out every once in a while. And that goes to say, again, because we've talked about this on numerous occasions and are going to continue to talk about it because it's forever changing. Dealing with mental health is the fact that at some point, again, there has to be safe spaces. So as men especially, we tend to keep that cape on because we feel like it's 24/7. Nah, it ain't 24/7, man. You gotta take it off. You gotta chill, bro. And again, don't be afraid of crying, bro. Life is hard, man. Life is hard, and try not to be so gullible to believe something. Oh man, it's easy. This no. I think most underlying things are, stressful to people because they tend people are lazy in nature. You always want to find the easy thing, the quick thing, the fastest thing, without having contingency for, okay, if this messes up, I need this. Okay, if this messes up, I need to get solutions for this. Bro, everything ain't gonna go the way you planned.
Yeah.
The key is, if you gotta take a breather, take a breather. If you gotta shed some tears about it, shed some tears about it. If you need to blow off some steam, do that. But the whole goal, and I think I told the guy this today, the whole goal is to get back up and keep figuring out solutions to figure out what problem that you need to solve. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing easy. Nothing in life is easy. It's just things that we have to deal with and cope with. And if you're not willing to deal with it and cope with it and keeping it bottled up, again you end up with suicide. Again you end up with thoughts of thinking like, man, well, I'm better off not here because I feel like my pressures are too much or I don't want to burden nobody with my stuff. But no, burden somebody. And a quick thing too is like if they aren't willing to listen or aren't willing to understand, then guess what? We have to normalize leaving. We have to normalize leaving and finding better people. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't normalize that, then again, you're trying to find a problem. No, you are the problem.
Yeah.
Because you had numerous chances to like, hey, well, let me nip this in the bud. We always say this, Diana and James, insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Insanity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to normalize, hey, if this is not mentally helping me or giving me my safe space that I need, or hindering me or hurting me physically, mentally, we have to normalize. I gotta go.
Right.
I gotta protect my peace.
Yeah. It's something you said, and I hope the men out there is listening. I hope the women are listening to know what a compliment wearing the cape does not make you a man.
Right.
When to wear the cape and when to take it off makes you a man.
Yeah.
Superman wouldn't be none if he was never Clark Kent. He understood there was a time when I'm Clark Kent, I'm off, right? And he understood there was a time when I need to be Superman. And so I think, again, having that space to be able to realize that that does not equate to being a man. And then to Frankie's point, man, it's not just about the resource and material things. Can we show up? Listen to what Crystal just said. She said, I'm raising 2 boys, so this conversation about what a man is critical. Think about that's, if you ask me, that's an ask in there.
Right.
So delivery is just a material thing. What about the spiritual? What about the emotional? Like, we have to, that's us. No disrespect, a woman can't make up. No, we have to make that important from within, right? And then, like Frankie said, and I'm a firm believer. Hey, my mother taught me this: love you after Faye Hester. If you can't get together, if you can't get along, get apart. I just told Michael that if you cost me here, you can cost me money. You can cost somebody, but if I don't have, I've learned about James. If I don't have this, Frankie,
Yeah.
I'm when I can't be good for myself, I can tell you I'm not good for you.
Right.
Yeah, and it don't have to be personal. When I can't be good for myself, and so I think we have to reevaluate. Frankie, one thing I want to touch on, you said something so powerful, and we talked about this yesterday. The type of circle we create as men, right? Because we'll have that good woman who's trying to pour into it, and that's understandable. Like you said, that is a new language, so you're gonna have some friction there. But if I don't put all yes men, or if I don't put my circle of just people who cope with, right?
Yeah.
You know us, we like going out, getting our nice cigar, nice spirit, but that's not a replacement for us dealing with our issues, right?
Right.
But if I'm surrounded people with me where that's the solution, and then I come back down and have an expectation from her, see, now that's where we start hurting the help.
Yeah.
God gave us a potential helpmate, but we hurting it because we're comfortable just placating it. I call it self-medicating. That's what I call it.
Let me do so. I just watched this Pee Wee documentary, man. So I gotta do the Pee Wee Herman, man. Let's give these people the word of the day, which is growth. So sometimes with growth, guess what? You grow apart. You know what I'm saying? The friends you used to hang with, guess what? Down the line, some people gonna fall off. Hey, you might be the one that was falling off to a certain friend. Growth. I had to tell somebody today, like, bro, I said, realize where you at in life and where your friends are in life. Now, if this friend is saying, man, where you at? Where you been? How come you don't do this no more? Guess what? That's good growth because you got to get away from that.
Yeah.
If your friend not saying, hey, man, look, like my homeboys, like me and James partners, it's courtesy and it's a respect thing to know what your friend, your homeboy or your homegirl is going through in life. To say like, hey man, I know you got a lot going on, but you know I'm extending the courtesy, bro. Hey, we planning this trip, this, that, and other. You know, just let us know if you're able to make it. If not, hey, it's all good. Keep doing your thing. Now listen to the difference.
Right.
If I'm sitting there saying, hey man, where you been? Man, like bro, you act like you don't want to hang with us no more. This, that, and the other. Yeah, that's a grow apart right there.
Yeah.
If I can't big up you or ask you like, hey man, what's going on in life, man? How everything treating you, bro? Or when I do, or when the old crew do make moves, I'm still gonna say something to you, but I'm gonna understand. Like, hey, my man got a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? And if those friends ain't willing to help, my fault, Jay. If those friends ain't willing to help, and always complaining about where you at, again, word of the day is growth. We gotta learn how to grow apart and be fine with that.
Yeah, if I can't be friends with you, then that means you're friend to my fakeness. So what do I do with my real? And that's something I think we as men, we impose on ourselves to where we buy into, even when society quit complaining, like we'll justify not telling our real story, right? And I want to kind of go back to something that Crystal, because I saw her asking, and I just want to make sure we're obedient. As men, we have to do more in being able to recognize the emotion. We have to understand how we interpret it and how we act on the emotion. I think a lot of time we look for women to do that, and kind of like Diana alluded to, yeah, we'll do some things just because we like that feeling or like that person or we want that reaction. Well, that's conditional. But in order for me to understand my emotion and give myself and even give the opposite sex what they need, I have to understand I asked a question last night. Who all know what sadness is? Everybody here raised up. How do you interpret sadness? That was a hard question to ascertain, because everybody was looking at this. If you close your eyes, what sadness look like? Well, that's not true. Men, that's not true. My sadness can look just like Diana's. Yep. Yeah. And it has none with being men, feminines, weak, or what. My sadness can mirror what Diana's sadness look like. Yeah. That's okay. Right? Because anything other than that is a lie. So now if I try to explain my sadness to Diana, I'm lying to her to protect my emotions, which coincidentally was ironic, because guess what I want Diana to do? Protect my emotions. Fellas, we got to have this space where we get this shit out. That's what I'm saying. Right? We have to be able to get it out and not only be able to recognize that emotion, but how do I interpret it? Hey, when I get upset, am I one of them people, hey man, give me 5 minutes? Or am I one of them people when I get upset, hey, Dana, I need you to recognize, I need you to kind of say something, you know what I'm saying? I need you to acknowledge that. Who am I? But if we don't know that about ourselves, we'll never know. Mike, nephew, he said, preach. Now that I'm old, I learned that being vulnerable and open is a part of maturity as a young man. Brother, if I gave your testimony on here, brother, I'd start crying. You're absolutely right, man. The very things that we have been taught as men as weak or the lesser sex or equated to women, what I found in my adulthood, that's the very definition of being a man. It wasn't these macho, toxic masculinity related topics that makes me, no, that makes me a fool. Because I think one of y'all said it, even if I could do it, it can be contained consistently. One day I'm gonna be off, I'm gonna be hurt, so on and so forth. So you're right, Mike. That vulnerability is real. And I think that's why a lot of us, Frankie, that's where we self-impose on ourselves, and we can't always fault the other sex, women. Can we be vulnerable? Like even last night when I was paying in the room, like you just had some dudes, like you could tell it was affecting them, like it was touching them, and you could just tell the bank they were just trying to gotta keep this on, you know what I mean? And that's why I was saying it wasn't a lot of women. There was only 2 women, because you usually think men would do that to try to, show off for women, right? But it was sad where you could just see the body line where you could tell this is penetrating, this is affecting them. And it was just kind of, no, I still gotta, one guy, he was like, no, I just like to read the room. And it's like, read the room. You don't know, no. Okay.
Yeah. I think, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we don't talk about it as much, but I feel we probably need to go into it this season when we do have these conversations a little bit more, is measuring or scaling your emotions to figure out, hey, well, should I say this? Because it's like when you see those TV shows or movies when both people have good news, and then one person just ends up getting theirs out first, and the other person
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we don't talk about that as much. Now we do talk about weaponizing, another person's vulnerability and emotion. We talk about that a lot, but we don't get into the scaling or I want to say the guy term, but I ain't gonna say that. But the measuring. Like, hey man, my sadness is like this. Because James, I think you alluded to it while you was talking earlier. you know, your sadness is the same as Diana. Well, it doesn't matter if it's the same or not the same. It's still the same. It's the emotion is still the same. Both of
Yeah,
y'all are sad,
yeah.
and we shouldn't measure or scale. You know, now true enough, whoever get theirs off first, let's figure that out. But then also get the other person's space too to figure out why they're sad.
What
Now
I say is
we have talked about that part too. You know,
what I what I say is don't weaponize it, right?
yeah,
And that's why I think this podcast is so one of the reasons so vital is that usually by the time men and women show up in the same capacity is at each other, right? It's almost like who
yeah,
go first? Well, I went first. Well, you too. Well, what about this? And so nothing comes out of that. Like that's dysfunction at its best. Show up authentically, right? Like you're right. It's not a way. Okay,
yeah.
Dinah's your sadness up here in my but unfortunately, a lot of time men first have to unfortunately validate
Mhm.
some of their feelings before it can even just be understanding their feelings. There
Yep.
goes that nuance again, right? Like I can't just say I don't have. I cannot. Well, why you a man? Well, you're the reason why. And so now I can't deal with the why and find a way to. I got to now see if it's validated and accepted, right? And so
Especially
there,
if it's being reciprocated after too, because you know
yeah,
women will say, "Hey, well, how was your day?" And then you look like, "Man,
yeah,
I don't think my day was as bad as yours, so I ain't gonna say."
right,
I don't want to look crazy feeling my sadness when your sadness was way more. You know, no, say it because you were still sad. Say it.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. And one thing to your point, Frankie, what I found is when we as men start owning our power for our mental wellness and mental health. I know we always talk about the bad woman, the bad one, and whatnot, but I think we'll start seeing what we really need and made a lot clearer, right? We all have our bad experiences. Something just didn't work for whatever reason. But I think that's one of the proponents as men, when we really fix our mental perspective to things, we won't have to go through trial and error so much. So all this stuff that we're dealing with and find ourselves having to react to, well, we can miss that based on how well are we putting ourselves together from a mental standpoint. Because I think sometimes we just kind of default that, okay, we've all had a bad experience in both genders, right? It's bad men, bad women. So if we try to dump that on the fool, it's like I said, every single mother didn't have a bad guy. Not everyone, right?
Yeah.
So where do we have that conversation where there's nuance? And I think that's the thing with us, just like the topic said, kings break too. And I love that, Diana, how you came up with it, because we don't usually juxtapose something so strong with a weakness. Those two are usually not synonymous. And I think with some men, we feel we got to choose in that topic. Am I a king, or do I really be vulnerable and realize that I'm broken? I can be a broken king, right? Because ultimately, like Frankie said, can I get the help? And I think that's the biggest thing, as we end Men's Mental Health Month. Fellas, we are literally putting ourselves in early graves by not even dealing with the help. We just dealing with the symptoms, right? We got a broken leg and we put a Band-Aid on it. Well, it stopped bleeding, Diana. You got a whole broken leg, right? Even if it healed, it's gonna heal wrong. And so we're doing a lot of things where we're putting more hurt and pain on us. And it goes back to what Crystal was alluding to. Even our young kids, young boys, they're watching us and learning the wrong way and how to grow up and be a man. And then when they grow up and learn that behavior, guess what? It's hard to teach them wrong, because now we either dead, quite frankly, or we just an old fool walking around here thinking we don't need help. We can just be hard toward everybody, stir them down. And so where does the vicious cycle stop, fellas? As much as we can talk about our women need us and yes, they can support us, man, we got to be able to support them. And I'm not just talking about with the material. What if she just needs you to understand how she thinks? Right? I used to have that habit. I'm not gonna lie. Everything I had to do, I had to put my hands on it. Sometimes they just want you to show up. But you can't show up for nobody if you can't show up for yourself. That's real talk, right? So now we have to ask ourselves, how do our mental wellness help us reciprocate to that woman that we love? It's one thing to have it. What can we do to retain it? What can we do to show that these type of women we do respect? And it doesn't even have to be in a relation, in a romantic situation. Our mothers, our daughters, our aunts, our grandmothers that show up with us, right? Are we just valuing the things or their physical, or are we valuing the fact that, you know what, I can sit down and you can pour something into me? Kind of like Frankie said, hey, when you see me off, you don't have to let me to be out. You just know, you can just say something, you can just touch me in a way, you can just look at me in a way and just make me kind of calm until we can talk about it later. Man, that got to be cultivated. But if you have that man and you're just so hard and being stark because you won't own your mental health, man, every woman out here ain't bad. You
Again,
damn
man,
good ones.
word of the day is growth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's your actions. It's, do you really love this person? And when you really love somebody, or when you genuinely care for somebody, guess what happens? You start to change. You start to compromise. You start to say, well, hey, maybe let me do this. You know what I'm saying? Or let me change this. Let me change that. This
But watch
person
this,
really
Frank.
care about me. Let me let
But
me
watch,
let me put forth some effort.
watch it. The first person you got to do that with is yourself.
That's right.
Sometimes it ain't that woman being hard. It's cases out there like that, but I digress. But sometimes it's not that woman, it's that we have not learned to do ourselves. And if that woman is more emotionally intelligent than us, and we've not humble enough to learn from that and go through our trials and everything, to be honest and open and transparent with that woman, we're gonna look at that as a threat. Let's just be real. We're gonna find the reason with that. It's gonna affect our ego instead of having a deeper appreciation of it, right? So some of this we have to do our own homework. And last, as we kind of land this plane, so to speak, I know we kind of talking about, King's Break 2, men's mental health, with June being Men's Mental Health Month. Definitely follow us on Spotify, Facebook, you guys, YouTube. Please follow. That helps us out a lot. But as we land this plane, now we have to come down this lane of, we got to be willing to go get outside help. A good woman does not necessarily have to be a good counselor. We got to quit putting that on our women. It's good that they can pour into us, that they can motivate us. But sometimes, just like if I get a broken arm, my mate don't have the skill set to doctor on me. I got to go see a professional. Sometimes, men, things that we go through, we can't put it on our women. They're not trained professionals. And women, we're not knocking you. You may be right. You may be trying your best, but can we tell you that's not working for me? I need to go get this help without it knocking you. There go that nuance again. I may need more help than what you can offer. That's okay. It don't knock you. Matter of fact, partner with me while I get the help. But man, also we have to also make sure that we're not putting more on our counterparts, and again, any woman in our life, than what they physically or academically can do. That's why they have professionals for that. So a lot of times we got to now normalize, how do we go get that outside help? I know Frank and I, we were talking about that, something that we was going through, and it's like, bro, it's good that we got each other to chop it up, but let's normalize going getting some, let's go and get some outside help. I want to make sure that we're getting these comments. Versus, I loved it very much, but it came out of the blue, and I couldn't stop her. Virgil, again, I appreciate you so much being very vulnerable and sharing this. I just try my best to be respectful and not to try to speak too much publicly. But we can definitely talk offline. But I do appreciate you sharing. I want to make sure I'm sensitive to your circumstance. Let me say that. I want to make sure I don't overspeak. But that is something that men struggle with, females. Our counterparts, our women, our queens, whatever you want to put it. Even when we fail you, we care. it hurt us. It means more to us to not be able to be there for you than something that we can be there for you. And I'm talking, I don't like saying real men, but I'm talking about men. So when y'all rush in, and even if we fail, y'all rush in and oh my goodness, you have no idea. And I think that's a valid expression what Virgil is being vulnerable about. When we feel we fail someone we love, oh my God. We rather it happen to us than it happen to someone you love, like our kid, just like you are with your children.
Yeah.
That's how we are to you all, right? Diana does great things for her daughter in the things she do, but I guarantee you, her love as a mother, when she came to, oh my God, like, hey, let me find a way, yeah, because even in our limitations, love can show up, right? And I think that's what Virgil is expressing. And so that's something that I want us men to start doing, man. How can we start showing that we love each other, right? Let's quit this meeting up where we got all the answers. We good. We got all the money in our pocket. And even if you got a woman that likes you for that, I think you better run, like Frankie said. So what happened when your truth comes out, right? Let's show up authentically and love each other, like Mike and I were talking about, my nephew talking about, even in our limitations. Like, we have to be able to have permission to be human. That's a human thing. That's not a man or woman thing. Let me see, you guys. If I miss any other comments, I want to make sure I'm raising two boys, so the conversation about what a man is critical. Crystal, I don't know if you still joining us, but again, thank you for sharing and giving us your transparency. And if there's anything or any topic that we can do while we're here a few more minutes, definitely let us know and hit us up one-on-one. But I do think when we talking about that dynamic of single parent, that's one of the lenses that we don't really kind of talk about. We always talk about it from a celebratory standpoint, right? But we don't talk about that even in that space, you still need that opposite sex criterion mentality, right? Like, just because we broke up, we still need the things, that parenting or those lessons from the opposite sex. And so just showing the fact that you have a desire to have that, for your two young princes, it definitely says a lot. You guys, again, this has been Unfiltered Kings and the Queen podcast. As we've been doing this summer, just kind of pulling up on you guys. We kind of been everywhere, so to speak. Just want to stay relevant and stay connected with our new and old followers alike. Kind of letting you know what's coming up. Season 4, August 7th. As we ramp up to that day, man, we got some great things in store for you guys. We're definitely going to try to take it to the next level, but still have the same genuine conversations. So be on the lookout for that. That's why we want you guys to follow us. Spotify, Facebook, look us up, Unfiltered Kings of the Queens podcast. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. Go back and look at some of the conversations that we have. We have 3 seasons up on our belt that we feel confident about. We feel confident about the conversation. And man, this is a platform where men and women talk together. Sometimes we as men got to talk amongst ourselves. Sometimes women got to do it. Then sometimes we got to talk to each other. And so we would love for you guys to kind of continue to join us and join the actual community that we actually building. But again, like our title said, Kings break too, fellas. It's okay. Even beyond this month, I know this month was ended, so I wanted to kind of talk about this topic. But even at this month's ending, man, our mental health is important 24/7. And push comes so, like Frankie said, if we cannot find our mental health, separate yourself. That's real. We got to quit rushing into early graves and being locked up for making spur of the moment decisions that's costing us our freedom and our lives and our health in the long run, for real. And then we have to find a better way. Also, it's one thing to find a good person in our life, but what can we do to keep them? Everybody's not bad, y'all. Everybody's not like your past ex. When we find the good one, we still have a responsibility, even if we're going through, man, to do something. With that being said, if my teammates don't have anything else, we're gonna sign off on this one. So did we decide that we're going live next week, you all? A day before barbecue day? I don't know what July 4th is. I think we said we're going
So
live
I
next
think,
Thursday, right?
I think, yeah, we did.
Okay. So yeah, man, we'll be back on Thursday, man. As we always say, inbox us. Like, let's keep the conversation going. We don't want this to be sporadic or what have you. If it's something that you didn't feel comfortable sharing, Virgil, thank you again for first of all validating that you are human. That's my bad. But more importantly, man, our deepest condolences go to your loss, and thank you so much, man. Especially
Yes,
of
yes.
all months being open and transparent and sharing your truth, man. Hopefully, we can walk away with, if nothing else, just that power and conviction that it took to do that. But we'll be back on, man. So continue conversations. I think we have some polls coming up, man, where we're going to get you guys kind of involved in what it is that we're doing in the future.
Get
I think
more interactive. Yeah.
the Queen is working on some things for you all. So, man, just kind of follow for all things UKQP, man. Let's grow this community. And if there's any topics or questions or anything you disagree with, be respectful now. Don't get it twisted. But share it with us, man. Inboxes or hit us up. But until next time, man, we're going to go ahead and sign out for this one. Again, King's Break 2, Men's Mental Health Unfiltered. Until next time, man, y'all have a good one.